Hi, all, and welcome. My name is Shanna Terese Booty, and I am the author behind Shanna Terese Books, where faith grows in fiction. I write a dystopian science fiction and fantasy, all from the perspective of my own personal faith and from religious spiritual experience in general. My goal in my writing is not to convert people. My pledge, in fact, is to never be preachy and to never sound like an altar call. That is the last thing that I want to sound like. My goal in all that I write is the same. It's to tell my story, the gospel story, our collective story as Christians, in as unique and accessible and unconventional a way as possible. In addition to writing, I do have two separate master's degrees, both from the same seminary where my father, a now recently retired pastor, graduated some 30-ish years before I graduated, something like that. I wasn't born yet, so I don't quite know. For both of those degrees, and also for my undergraduate degrees, I have studied multiple languages, including Hebrew and Greek, which means that I can actually read the Bible as it was originally written, or as close to originally written as we have access to, in the original Hebrew and Greek languages that the Bible was originally written in. It also means that I do have a gift for languages, which has allowed me to create several now of my own made up languages. And since I write in the genres of sci fi and fantasy, this has helped me to do what my books are already becoming sort of known for among early readers, which is the creating of worlds that feel accessible and authentic and real, worlds that are populated by true to life characters, regardless of the crazy futuristic nature of their lives. They are still realistic characters who face realistic problems, and have to answer familiar questions, the same kind of questions I believe we all find ourselves dealing with at some point in our lives. And honestly, my undergraduate degree in history doesn't hurt with that goal either. I have spent my entire, not short, academic career studying humans and how humans think and how those thoughts and opinions change or grow or decline over time and based on the circumstances and societies in which those particular people live. There is a pervasive misconception out there, just floating out there in the nether space, that fantasy and science fiction stories are somehow inherently unrealistic stories. And I have observed that this misconception is particularly prevalent among religious people, despite the fact, which is just a fact, that three of the best loved sci fi fantasy authors of modern times, of the 20th century, were all practicing Christians who did integrate their faith into their work in brilliant and also non invasive, non preachy ways. One of those three, perhaps the most famous of them, actually, is widely regarded as one of the most important and certainly most accessible theologians of the modern age in his nonfiction writing. And this famous fantasy author can also be one of the most important theologians of modern times because the truth is, all good sci fi and fantasy is deeply rooted in reality. It exists to explore real and important questions about what it means to be human, and the nature of right and wrong, and why these things even matter. Science fiction and fantasy are built on these questions. And one of the most important of these questions is what we believe about God and why and how those beliefs do or should influence our lives. So these are the important questions humanity has to deal with. They're questions that science fiction and fantasy as genres are uniquely positioned to explore in innovative and fascinating ways that many people find compelling. I among those people. And the most important part here is that these are the same questions that the gospel itself is meant to explore. These questions of meaning, of identity, and of meaning and identity in relationship to God and to the rest of the Christian community. And I think it is for that reason, because there is such crossover between what science fiction explores and what the Gospels explore. It is for this reason that these were the stories, science fiction and fantasy, were the stories that I loved growing up, the stories that I still love today, that have helped me to grow as a person, including a person of faith. And these are the stories that help me to make sense of my faith still today. And that is why I write them. I have been writing for literally as long as I can remember. And I continue writing and writing in these genres because the goal at Shanna Terese Books will always be simply to retell the gospel story in as creative and accessible and unconventional a way as possible. So, if any of that sounds like something you might be interested in, please like and subscribe. I will be putting a whole lot of fun stuff up here in the next month before my books are released in May, including some live readings and some free book offers. Also, check out the description below for links to my Facebook page and website where those free offers will be held.